This is the Triumph Street Triple. But is it any good, and would I recommend it as a first-time bike?
Okay.
Well, the long and short of it is, yes, I would. I think it's the perfect first-time bike. But is it right for you? Well, that's what I want to go through with this video. I'm going to go through my thought process when I first bought this bike, because it was my first time bike. But first, I just want to talk a little bit about how I ended up in this position, making these YouTube videos and spending my hard-earned cash on this lovely machine. So I'm 3 years old. For my birthday, I got a little QR50, and that was where it all started. Ever since then, I've been completely obsessed. We went through the ranks of riding motocross. I then just practiced as a bit of fun. I ended up having some surgery, unfortunately, which kind of took me away from the motocross. But that's when I decided to take my test, get out on the road, and ended up with the Triumph Street Triple. Now, the reason I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself before going too in depth with this video is because I think you need to look at your capability when buying this bike. Clearly, I've had some experience riding bikes. Yes, it's on the dirt, not really on the road, but being able to handle the machine, knowing what to expect when things happen. So what I'm trying to say is I've had some decent experience before even buying a road bike or even taking my test. But before going too in depth and looking at your capabilities on the bike, I just want to stop and make you think about why you actually want it. What are you going to use this bike for? Because if you're commuting, I don't think this is the right bike for you. But if you're going to be using this as a Sunday rider to get out with your friends or even on the track, that's where I feel that this bike excels. Because you've got to think, if you're riding this to and from work, you want a big, heavy bike because you've got cars all around you. You want something that's comfortable, probably want to be upright, because that's the thing with this. I would say it's in between an upright naked bike and a sports bike. You've still got the straight handlebars, but you are leant over and your knees are tucked up just like a sports bike. Some people might see this as a downfall for the bike, but I see it as a positive. You've got the best of both worlds. Now, you're probably not going to take it straight to the track after buying it or just doing your test, but at the end of the day, it is something that you could do if you wanted to. I haven't personally taken this bike to the track, but when you look at how it's made and the sporty styling of the bike, you can clearly see that's what Triumph has tried to do. Make it a bit of an all-rounder bike. If you really did want to commute on this, don't get me wrong, you're still going to be able to do it, but it's not going to be the most comfortable thing. Yet, you can jump on, take it to a track, have the time of your life, and then ride it back. We're probably getting ahead of ourselves right there. So all I'm trying to say is have a think of exactly what you're going to be doing with this bike, because that might be the decider whether you choose this or something different. So how does the bike handle? Well, it's quite a short wheelbase bike, it's light, throttle's nice and smooth, and the clutch is easy. It was a bit of a shock for me jumping on this compared to the old motocross bikes that I've had, because they ride completely different. With motocross you can turn the handlebars and the bike turns. With one of these you have to shift your weight and even sometimes turn the handlebars the wrong direction to get you leaning over. But from personal experience, jumping on this bike, having never ridden on the road before, it was really easy bike to get used to. It's comfortable. Yes, you are leant over, like I've said, a bit more like a sports bike. But again, I think this is down to personal preference. If you're happy leaning over the bike a bit more than maybe an MT-09 with your legs tucked up, then it's fine. I've done 2-3 hours worth of riding on this bike before. Yes, you get a little bit achy, but it's nothing that you can't put up with. And to be fair, I probably wouldn't let that be something to put you off the bike. I've ridden the same journeys with people that do have sports bikes. They're having to keep stopping, their wrists are aching, their knees are cramped up. You get a little bit of that with this, but you'll be absolutely fine. Is the bike fast enough? Is the bike too slow? It's only a 600. Should you buy 1,000? No, I just don't think you need a 1,000cc bike as your first time bike. And just as a bit of a side note, I wonder how many times I'm going to say bike in this video. Anyway, yes, it's a 675, a 600cc, and I personally think you need nothing more than a 600. Well, put it this way, 60 miles an hour in first gear. Second gear, you've lost your license. What more speed do you need than that? But seriously, it's a 3-cylinder, it's the triple. It picks up really nicely from 0 miles an hour up to about 40, 50. Middle of the range, still really good. I would just say that the top end speed, again, up against something like the MT-09 I mentioned, it's not quite there. But I'm not being funny, how often are you ever actually gonna go top speed on the roads? It's probably very rare, and if you are, make sure there's no cameras. So why did I choose the bike? So going back, I remember that there were 3 main bikes I was looking at. It was the Triumph Street Triple, the Suzuki Bandit, I don't know why, I just really liked them at the time, and the MT-09. Now, the Bandit was out of the question really, a little bit too old, a little bit too cheap. I didn't mind spending a little bit more money and actually getting exactly what I wanted. So I said earlier about the MT-09 being a little bit quicker. It is. Top end, the MT-09 is faster than the Triumph Street Triple 675. But that wasn't the be-all and end-all for me. I wanted to have fun on the bike. And I think growing up racing motocross was a big factor in deciding whether I wanted this bike or something different. I liked the fact that it was quite sporty, it was quite racified compared to something else that's a bit more upright. And I do love the style and the look of this bike. One of the big reasons that I didn't end up going with the MT-09 is I like to be a little bit different. At the time of buying this, everywhere I looked was an MT-09. So I just fancied having something a little bit different, but still did everything that I wanted it to. So this next bit is actually a question for you. Clearly you like bikes because you're watching a biking video on YouTube, but do you like green laning or bike meets or just general motovlogging? Well, if you do, maybe consider subscribing to the channel because you're the same as me. I love bikes and I love creating these videos for you guys to watch. So join us on this journey and you never know, I might see you out on the road. Anyway, so far I've spoken quite highly of this bike because I really do love it. And you see these 5 things I hate about my bike or my car videos. And to be honest, I don't have 5 things that I hate about this bike. There's a couple of little niggly things, but nothing too major. First things first, the same as most bikes to be fair, they only have a tiny battery. So if you are storing this over the winter, I would highly recommend getting a trickle charger. I've said that 3 times, by the way. It's quite hard for me to say trickle charger. But the first time I went out at the beginning of this year, the battery was completely flat. I had to get a new one because it was completely dead. But yeah, just one thing to have in your back of your mind. Get a trickle charger over the winter and you'll be fine. One fault I have come across with this bike is something to do with the electrics with the starting mechanism. I don't know whether it's the switch or the starter or anything in between, but I have seen that this is a fairly regular occurrence across these bikes. I took an hour-and-a-half ride out, miles away from home, turned the bike off, stopped for a bit of a chill, went to start the bike up, nothing. I thought I was just being stupid. I checked the stand, checked it wasn't in gear, checked all the normal things, it was switched on, but nothing. It just wouldn't start. I ended up calling for some backup. I got some people to come out and meet me and help me, but by the time they turned up, I turned the key, started straight up. I have no idea to this day what went wrong, but it has only happened once or twice and I've had the bike about 3 years. So in conclusion, I think this is the perfect first time bike. It's got everything you could ever need. It's comfortable, it's light, it manoeuvres well, the speed's there, and I think they look amazing. But if you fancy just a bit of point of view video footage of me riding, then this next video is exactly that. It's got the Zard exhaust on it, which makes it sound absolutely amazing. But until next time, take it easy, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks.